Welcome back. Today we have some exciting things to cover. We're going to talk about Acme Trading Company and how it's more than just a model company. We're also going to talk about a new model from Kos Show, and it is fantastic. And then finally, a new line of models from BBR that's going to really take you by surprise. Acme Trading Company started its roots in actually the distribution channels for models. Their first distribution chip was actually NASCAR. They then went on to actually make their own NASCAR models. They went from there to create sprint car models. Sprint cars is another racing series in the United States, if you didn't know. As the company continued to grow, they went on to make muscle cars. And for muscle cars, they acquired and brought back the brand GMP. GMP, if you didn't know, they make, and they're mostly known for their 112 GT40s, as well as their AC Cobras, and a plethora of 118 scale models as well. GMP has some very highly desired models because they're finely detailed, almost onto an Exoto level. As I mentioned in the beginning, Acme Trading Company started out as a distributor, and they continued that process of being a distributor not only for obviously their own models, but a plethora of other companies. Those companies include GT Spirit, Solidio, Automobile, Kos Show, and Sunstar. Most recently and announced during the virtual show was that they are now US distributors for the Spark models and Looksmart. If you're unfamiliar with what distributorship means, it's simply this. Acme Trading Company is more or less a middleman, broker, if you want to say, for all of these different companies. All these companies I mentioned do not produce their product in the United States, and their company is not based in the United States either. So companies like BBR, for example, they are an Italian company. They are focused on creating the beautiful models they do and getting them out the door. They do not want to, for efficiency purposes, they do not want to be involved with direct retail. Now, don't get me wrong. You could, for example, buy some models directly from BBR. But when you do that, you're buying, if you're in the US, for example, you're buying from a company in Italy. So if you order that directly and you get it to your home and there's something wrong with it, you're shipping it back to Italy. Now, some companies, I can't say BBR would do this, they may pay for the shipping so you could send it back. A lot of them don't, and it's very expensive. And just the communication, have you ever called BBR? Even the communication is very difficult. So instead of doing that, if you buy it directly from a retailer in the US, like Pasteiner's, for example, I can go right back to Pasteiner's and say, hey dude, this is not worked out. There's a piece missing, the paint's flaked, whatever it is. Pasteiner's is going to work directly with the distributor to get a replacement, as opposed to, again, dealing with Italy. So it simplifies that entire sales process. Again, if you didn't know that. So that's what the distributorship means. Now let's move on to what they talked about, because that is the best part. Oh my goodness. They started off with talking about their tooling for their models, which is very interesting. And I will tell you the source where you can see this, by the way. And that was a very interesting process, especially about the licensing. I'm going to leave that to them to explain that, but it was a very interesting segment of their review or video. The thing that was really interesting to me is based on the new products that they're having. We're going to start with GMP, for example. And when I went to the GMP section of their presentation, oh my goodness, I was really amazed at what product they actually had for offer. So again, GMP, if you didn't know, is a company that makes mainly 70s, late 60s race cars. So they actually stopped production like in 2014. And again, Acme basically took the reins and brought them back. And some of the things that you're seeing here is that they are actually bringing back some more of the GT40s. And the GT40s that they're bringing back were back in the day, those really famous GMP models. Now these are not going to be under the GMP name. I'm not sure why they're not doing that, because there are certain models like the 118s, the Sunoco one for example, those are under the GMP banner. So I'm not sure exactly why, but no, these are going to be under what is called the well, it's Acme. That's basically what it is. So I think they call it the Collector's Edition. But yeah, as you can see there, absolutely beautiful. Again, this is just another retooled version of the GMP model. It's not being made by the same manufacturer in China. They actually bounce around to different manufacturers in China to get these things done. But the models, they have all of the same detail that you would expect out of the GMP. Now I can say, because I did get one of their earlier models, it was the Le Mans winning GT40, the number 6, you know, the known golf livery, and it's great. I'm not suggesting it's bad, but there are definitely some differences in the models, mainly more so the colors of some of the materials that you used. But the overall paint, I can't say that they look any worse or better than the previous GMPs. I would say they look almost virtually the same. Like I said, it's just some of those smaller things that are a little bit different. So that's GMP, or that's Acme and GMP, I guess I should say. Next, we're going to move on to Kos Show. And yes, they've been a distributor for Kos Show for quite a few years. But the one thing the thing that I really want to emphasize in regards to Kos Show was just some of the new product. Now, in one of my earlier spotlight videos, I did showcase and mention that they were going to come back with the 1/12 scale and the 1/18 scale Ferrari F40. And so there are some variants that have been out there in the market, and those have actually been teamed up with BBR. So the detail on those GT40s are better. So that's really great news. They also have some new older Porsches, I guess you would say. Yeah, they have some older Porsches that they're going to bring out, one or two anyway. But the one thing I really wanted to point out on this video, if you're into trucks, they definitely have that as well. So they do have some i.e. vintage Toyota trucks that actually have tons of detail. So if that's your thing, they do have those as well. But what I really wanted to bring you to or show you in this video was the Ferrari F40. Now, I don't recall this, but if you look in the background there, you can see the Ferrari F40, and it's not just the typical production F40. It is the LM model, and it has the Goodyear scripting on it. Their earlier models did not have that, and oh my goodness, man, this is definitely a must-have for any Ferrari fan. Look at the detail on the back of that motor. That is improved. I mean, that's really improved. So I don't know how I'm going to accomplish it, but that's definitely on the Den's list to buy. Finally, we have Looksmart and Spark. And Spark is a company that focuses mainly on sports cars, racing cars, and Formula One. And that could be anything that's modern to vintage as well. I think the highlight from this presentation is definitely the hypercar, the Cadillac Racing, which will be out in first quarter. So definitely looking forward to that. And then as well as this vintage race car by Shelby, which is this beautiful blue livery here. And very nicely done. Keep in mind, Spark models do not open, so these are sealed resin models. This Hoonigan, which will be out in first quarter, this is the Ken Block Pikes Peak car. It's the very last car that was actually made from his shop. So that will definitely be a highly sought after model. Be really curious to know what other companies are going to make it. It comes in 1/18 as well as 1/4/3 scale. Next, we're going to move over to Looksmart, And Looksmart focuses on the two big Italian companies. That would be Ferrari as well as Lamborghini. And what you see here is the GT3 DTM car in the Red Bull livery. The good thing about Spark is that, well, not Spark, but Looksmart, is the fact that they produce many of the same cars that BBR does, but they're typically priced less. Usually on average, a Looksmart model is going to be $100 less, that's US, than a BBR. The highlight is definitely this number 51 Le Mans winning 499P, which will also be out fairly soon. And again, keep in mind, if you don't want to spend that BBR money, but you want 98% of the same quality, Looksmart is the company for you. Now we're moving on to the hot list. The hot list are models that are soon to be released or have recently been released, and they're gonna sell out quickly. This time we're focusing on the ever-growing popularity of sports car racing, and up first is BBR, starting with the Le Mans winning number 51 499P. Now you may be asking, Dan, wasn't this out a few months ago? And you'd be correct, except for this version is 1/12 scale, and now you have the option of getting one with a race finish. Will these sell out? Darn right they will. Next, Looksmart, being the other premier Italian model maker, rolled out their versions of the 499P as well. And yes, this one is available in 1/18 and 1/12 scale. No race finish version, but these will be priced slightly lower than the BBR. Now that would make a great comparison video between the two. Barago, the budget Ferrari model company, is also joining the party with two versions, both with opening doors, and one is mounted on a commemorative base and comes with an acrylic cover on a Barago model. An acrylic cover. Finally, the big reveal of this video: a few years ago, TrueScale Models, TSM for short, teamed up with Spark Models. Well, they're doing it again, but this time it's with BBR. That's right, BBR. This line of budget-friendly sealed resin sports cars will cost you almost 25% less than the BBR counterparts. The first entries are the 2023 499P WEC 1000 miles of Sebring, the number 50, the 6 hours of Spa, the number 51, the 2023 296 GT2 or GT3, number 62 Risi Compagnie Daytona 24 hours, and finally the 296 GT3 24 hours of Spa SR Racing, the number 38. All these will be in 1/18 scale and will be available in the late spring of this year. All of the aforementioned model information can be found on the company's respective websites, or contact your trusted local retailer. Guys, I'm not sure how I feel about this. I like the idea that TSM and BBR are joining forces to make these models. They're going to introduce Ferrari race cars at a lower price point, and I'm very sure the level of detail will not be as a BBR. If it is, I'd be shocked, because that would sound like they're cannibalizing their own product. But who knows? And I'm very sure this is only going to apply to motorsports, so no, you're not going to see a Love Ferrari from TSM anytime soon. That being the case, this definitely requires further investigation in this team up, which is something I've more than likely covered in my next spotlight video. Please like and subscribe. That is the best way I'm going to know you're enjoying these videos. The next review will be coming up much sooner. My videos run about 10 days. This will definitely be much more closer to the 7 to 6 days. Again, I appreciate your time. I look forward to seeing you next time.